What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today I thought we'd do a little bit of game design. I wanted to talk about difficulty and progression and some mistakes people make when they build in onboarding systems into their game. Now, I've been super working on Phylophobia for the last who knows how long because I'm kind of in a crunch period. I have a launch date in February. It is now November. The game literally has to be done by the end of the year in order for me to launch in February because, that I got a whole month of finalizing and exporting and all that stuff. So I have learned a ton about progression because we are in the stage where we're testing levels and I've made a lot of mistakes. And now that I have a slew of testers helping me out, I've made a series of mistakes, and I wanted to kind of share some of those with you. I've read a lot about difficulty curves. I've learned a lot. I've done a ton of research, and I found some articles and stuff on some of the things I was doing wrong, and I applied those, and I wanted to kind of show you real-world examples of some of the things that we did wrong in some of our onboarding. So the first one that I want to talk about is one that's really vague that we hear all the time, but we don't really take into account. And that is to define your audience. Now, most people are like, oh, what does that mean? I don't know who I'm targeting. Who do I want to play my game? Everybody should play my game because my game's awesome. So they don't know what targeting your audience or defining your audience means. Well, I'm going to give you an example here. So in my game, Phylophobia, we have this level called Tilted Rage, and it's under the hardcore category now because we've had testers go through it and we've realized that it's extremely hard. Now, the way this game works is there's obviously a shadow mechanic that covers anything that you're not seeing, right? So you got to kind of jump around to figure out where things are, and you kind of learn by dying. But then in addition to these platforms of jumping, there are these little hearts right here, if I can actually make a jump, that they appear and then they kill you, right? So in order to actually do this, you have to not only jump on the platforms, which I'm doing horribly, but you have to do it quickly like that, okay? So obviously it's a very hard level to do. I make it look easy because, I'm dying horribly, but when I did that, I made it look easy because I have some experience with the controls and stuff. But this level, on average, takes 30 to 45 minutes to complete, and it has less than 10% completion rate for my game. Okay, so this level is ridiculously hard. But here's the crazy thing. So out of all the testers that we've had, some of them want more levels like this. They say, Tim, when are we going to get more levels like Tilted Rage? I love this level. It was so frustrating. I loved it. And then some of them hate this level and they say, Tim, I want this out of the game. I don't want to play levels like this. I'd prefer go to the exploration or the puzzle levels. This level just sucks and it makes me want to quit your game. So we've got a bunch of people with the same level, some saying they hate it, some saying they love it. That's where defining my audience comes in because I can't listen to both of them, right? I have to pick a side. And if I'm going to define my audience, I have to know who to listen to. And for my game in particular, this was not the route I wanted to go. I think there are going to be some challenging levels in the game, but more specifically, the game is actually going to be about puzzle and exploration versus skill-based jumps because there's a story, and I don't want to prevent players from getting stuck on a level like this and not being able to progress in the story. I want people to experience the actual story that there is. So this specifically, I think, would hinder that. But it's really important for me to know that because if I didn't know that, I might end up with a horrible game because I'm listening to everybody with all these different suggestions. And if a bunch of people are telling me to cut a level, a bunch of people are telling me to make more levels like that, how am I going to figure out who to listen to? So that's the first one, is really know your audience, really figure out who you're making a game for, because in the beginning, I really didn't know who this game was for, and I made all kinds of levels. And, like the people that like these hardcore levels, they don't like the exploration levels. They get really bummed out when they have to, go in a labyrinth and figure out their way out. It's really frustrating. And the people, and the opposite is true too. So know your audience is a big one, and I hope I explained that good. Number two, I learned this the extreme hard way. I'm going to show you guys another level example. So the order. So originally, this level is a puzzle level, okay? This has a ton of little switches and stuff, and these switches turn off the walls or they turn on the walls, okay? Now, I thought this was a pretty simple puzzle. There's one little way to do this, but it turns out this is a lot more complex than I thought it was because I was overestimating the player's learning curve. It's really, really, really important in games that you underestimate their learning curve. And that's number two, because a lot of players, they're going through the world, they're discovering things, they miss things, especially in a game like this where, as you can see, I covered up the entire level by going, right? So my eyes are like very focused on where I'm going. I can miss all kinds of little details. I cannot understand how this works. Originally, we had shadow cover these little walls right here. So you couldn't actually see anything. And I had people ask me if they were light switches because they didn't understand what was happening. And it took a while for people to understand that all of these switches activate the same walls. Some people thought the switches activated different walls. Some people thought they did different things. But it took really explaining that in a very simple way to kind of get that across. Now, one of the ways that I did that was that we had a level called, I believe this is it, yeah, Hidden Hand. So in this level, there's nothing to kill you, kind of like the other puzzle level. There's no way to die except to jump in the lava like that. But this level, you can't actually progress. Whereas the previous level, you could actually solve the puzzle by accident sometimes. And we actually had people that solved the puzzle by accident, and they didn't understand what I was trying to teach them. So they moved on in the game without understanding what they were supposed to learn. So in this level, there's no way for me to get anywhere unless I find a switch. And so what ends up happening is players usually go this way, and then they see the switch, and they're like, oh, and they see the switch turns on the blocks right there. That's why that wall is there, by the way, as a design decision. Because originally the switch was separate from the two panels over there. But I put the wall specifically there so that they could see that the switch was turning on. And then they go over here and they see, okay, now these little blocks are filled in. So now they can progress. So this is a really simple level. And as an artist, as like a level designer, I hate this level because it's too simple. There's no puzzle elements. There's no nothing. It's just really stupid and simple. But it's really important in the onboarding because of how simple it is, because of how easy it is. And without it, you can get lost and not learn the mechanics of the switches, which means you're definitely going to be lost in some of the later levels with the more complex puzzles and stuff. So underestimating your player's progression curve and their learning curve is really, really, really important. So that's what I want to share for number two. And finally, number three, and I did this a lot. I'll show you guys one final level in this build. So originally, this is a puzzle level that has one little enemy. It's got this little guy here. Now, obviously this heart kills you when it appears, right? So what most players do is they go this way, and they're like, oh, they see a key there. So then they're going to go over here, they're going to jump, but then when they jump here, they see that little heart jar over there, okay? And originally, in my original design, that was a power-up. And it gave you, I was still working out what it would give you specifically, but it would give you like a double jump or a strafe or a bubble shield or whatever. And a lot of those ended up getting cut from the game. But the reason I was giving a power-up, because I was like, oh, so really skilled players are gonna take the hard way, right? They're gonna go and take these hard little jumps and do this hard stuff. Again, I've had a lot of practice, so I'm making this look easy, but a lot of people struggle with these jumps. So they're going to make it all the way over here, and they're going to get this thing, and then they're going to go back. But what I didn't realize is that by giving them a double jump or something, for example, I was making it easier. Now, why is that a problem? Because the sort of players that will attempt a hard challenge like that are the sort of players that don't want the game to be easier. They want more challenge. So the people that like to play the game on hard mode are the people I'm making the game easier for, which doesn't make sense. And that makes sense when you hear it, right? But when you're designing it, you're not thinking that way. You're thinking like, oh, this was super hard, you should have a super good reward. Now, the way to actually solve this level is different, because most people, they'll end up going up here, and they'll realize that in order to get the key, they have to kill themselves. So they actually do have to go back this way, which is a little hidden path. and they go down here. But again, they have two choices here. They go left and get the power up and then go all the way back, or they can go right and straight and finish the level that way. This cannot be underestimated enough, because the people that want the challenge, the people that want to do these hard things and actually go the hard route to get these little power-ups, are the people that you want to reward with more stuff like that. You want to give them extra little levels, extra hardcore levels, or whatever it is. You want to reward them with stuff that makes the game harder and more challenging for them. You want to reward them with the stuff that they like. So making the game easier for someone that likes hardcore games is really, really, really a bad idea. And I learned this so many different ways with this game. Seriously. So those are the things that I learned. There's a couple little things that I want to share with you guys on the game. Again, thank you to all the testers that have been helping me out. It's been so helpful. If you're working on a game right now and this was useful to you, let me know in the comments. Type what you're working on. If you got any questions, I've learned a ton of this stuff going into it. I'm still learning, so I'm happy to share anything that you guys have any questions about. And I think over the next month or 2 or 3, as kind of I'm trying to push this game out to Steam, I'm hoping to do, because I'm still learning a ton, right? Like, I've never had a commercial Steam release before, so as I'm learning all this stuff, hopefully I'm going to be sharing it with you guys so that you can learn along with me, and hopefully we'll all learn something together. So I hope it was helpful. Once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I will see you guys tomorrow.